I once coached a brilliant manager named Beth. She could solve any problem and hit every deadline and deliver exceptional results. But when she got promoted to lead a team of 8, things started to fall apart. She was working 70-hour weeks, her team was frustrated, and her boss was questioning the promotion. But what went wrong? Beth was still trying to be the star player instead of becoming a coach. The hardest transition in leadership isn't learning new skills, it's changing how you think about success. If you've ever struggled to move from doing the work to developing people who do the work, this episode is for you. Hey, friends, thanks for joining today on Leading with Bill. I'm Bill Martin, your personal leadership coach, and this is where biblical wisdom can transform your leadership approach. Now, today we're in part 4 of our series, Today's Challenges for Tomorrow's Leaders. Here's the paradox every high performer faces when they become a leader. The very skills that made you successful as an individual contributor can sabotage your success as a leader of people. You got promoted because you were great at getting things done. You solved problems quickly, delivered quality work, and never missed deadlines. Your success isn't measured by what you accomplish. It's measured by what your team accomplishes. And that's terrifying because developing people takes time. It's messy. It's unpredictable. And in the short term, it's often slower than just doing it yourself. So you fall into the trap. Keep doing instead of developing. You become the bottleneck instead of the multiplier. And eventually you burn out while your team never reaches their potential. So let's pause for a moment and get some insights from the Bible. Paul shares some wisdom in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, which says, "And the things you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to reliable people who will also be qualified to teach others." Now notice the multiplication factor here. Paul isn't just telling Timothy to go do good work. He's telling him to develop people who will develop other people. Paul understood something that we often miss. Your greatest legacy isn't what you accomplish, it's who you develop. The question isn't whether you can do the job better than your team. You probably can. Question is, will you invest in helping them do it better than you ever could? So this brings us to the fundamental shift every leader must make. Success through others versus personal achievement. This concept deserves some additional time. So we're just going to sit here a moment and let this sink in. Success through others versus personal achievement. Okay. So as an individual contributor, success looks like this. I solve the problem. I hit the deadline. I deliver the results. But as a leader, success looks like this. My team solved the problem. They hit the deadline. They deliver the results, and they're better equipped for the next challenge. Now, I learned this lesson in my first people leader role. I was promoted to manage a team that I was working in. So I got the wonderful opportunity to now manage my former peer, all 19 of them. What just happened? I mean, I was 25 years old, so just a few years ago, and I knew a little bit about not very much. I quickly realized that I didn't know what everyone in my team did. So my first step was to meet with each person, ask questions, and listen, and see where I could help each one succeed. Now, don't misunderstand that everything was roses in my first management role. There were plenty of thorns. With that large of a team, there was no possible way I could do all of the work. So I had to shift my focus to develop my team. Now, if you're finding value in today's leadership topic, hit that like button and subscribe. In the comments, tell me about a time when you saw a peer transition well into a people leader role. What did they do that made the difference? I'd love to hear from you. Okay, let me give you a simple framework that will transform your development conversation. It's called the GROW model, GROW. The G is for goal. What does success look like? R is for reality. What's the current situation? O, options. What are the possible approaches? W, way forward. What's the next step? Here's how it works in practice. Instead of saying, here's how to handle this customer complaint, try, what would a successful resolution look like for this customer? Instead of saying, you're missing the key issue, try, help me understand what you're seeing in this situation. And instead of saying, you should try this approach, try, what are 3 different ways we could approach this? And instead of saying, go do this, try, what's your next step and how can I support you? The magic happens in the questions, not the answers. When people discover solutions themselves, they own it. When you give them answers, they depend on you. Here's your leadership challenge. Schedule 30 minutes over the next 2 weeks with each team member. Not for status updates, for development conversation. Ask about their challenges, their goals, and their ideas. Use the GROW model to help them think through solutions. And here's the key. Resist the urge to solve their problems. Your job is to help them become better problem solvers. So as an example, start with this question. What's one area where you'd like to grow your capabilities? Then walk through the framework. What would success look like in that area? What's your current reality? What options do you see for development? What's one step you could take this week? Remember 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. Not just developing them, you're developing future developers. The person you invest in today might become the leader who develops the next generation. The shift from task manager to people developer isn't easy, but it's essential. Your team's potential is waiting for your investment. Now, if today's content resonated with you and you're ready to dive deeper into developing your leadership skills, I'd love to connect. Check out the link in the description to learn about a free values-based leadership assessment. It's foundational to how you lead. Identifying and understanding your core values is to discovering that you are made on purpose and for a purpose. Remember, success is defined in your team's development and achievements. Now check out this next leadership video. And friends, thank you for joining today on Leading with Bill. We'll see you next time.